Alright, welcome back to the Super Coach Nuff channel. In this video, we're going to look at the team list for round 17 of the 2025 NRL season. So about 10 minutes before teams drop for this week. So as usual, we'll use the time to have a look at the Sportsdeck Dream Team. And a good week for myself in Dream Team with a 1079, which was top 2% for the round, and did see me actually rise 17 spots back inside the top 100. So hopefully we can consolidate on that this week. In terms of the team, so we had Cam McInnes on field for a 48. Connor Watson coming off the bench, a massive 80 points after Origin, so that was fantastic. Terrell May was 68 as our vice captain. It was a very tempting VC score, but we did end up opting away, and it ended up being the right call. Payne Haas, again, talk about players backing up from Origin. 82 was massive from him. Kalal Matangi was obviously under a bit of an injury cloud, but did back up. 59 points for him. Eli Katoa we brought into the team, and 49 points for him was okay. Corey Horsburgh did a job for us with 54. Nafahu White was really good as well with 65 on the bench. And Lockie Hubner, 36, was decent enough from him. In the halves, we only had Metcalf and Hines in the starting team with 40 and 66 for Hines. Was a really great return for him. The centres, so we had Herbie Farnworth, who's just been in cracking form with 76. And we played Karapani, who scored a couple of tries, so got 55. I guess if you haven't got him, he would be the cheapie of the week. Purdy with just a 14 is sort of starting to lose all that cash that he had. So not the best move from us, but may prove to be a useful number in the next couple of weeks. And then the back line, so Teddy we captained, so 71 was, slightly better than our VC score. Nwangani Tuase was massive with a 90-point return. And then we did bring in Jack Bostock for the cash grab. Unfortunately, he's done his knee. Only scored us 22 points and is a forced trade. Jaden Campbell, unfortunately, with the HIA as well. So just 7 points from him. So his score dropped off. We did cop the 22 from Bostock. But, you can't help that. And Izzy Katoa with a 47, probably a relatively quiet game scoring-wise for him, but we're not selling him anytime soon. In terms of the head-to-head matchup, so top of the table clash against Hull White Star, and I snuck in by 19 points. So Oliver did captain Terrell May, so obviously made up a few points there. But the rest of the team went pretty well. Tarpany with 67, Lucas with 63, Ponga with 57. Unfortunately, he had Fletcher Sharp, so I guess sort of very similar to Bostock, injured out for the rest of the season. A forced move there. Ryan Pappenhausen with a 44. Hugo Savala with 72 was really good. Had Teddy as well. Drinkwater with a 39, and Bo Fermor with an 81. So probably the Wangini Tuase and Watson scores were what got me over the line there. Elsewhere in the league, give Lockie a shout out for a 4-digit score, 1003. So he captained Herbie Farnworth, which was a nice move. Had Munster, didn't go so great. Copped a 14 from Jack Gajeski, so that's a bit stiff. Tino with 32 was a little bit underwhelming also. But had Haas, had Watson, had Tedesco, Savala. So definitely, Nico Hines was good. So plenty of good scorers there. Elsewhere across the league, so Mark Nwangani Tuase was top scorer this week. So well done if you were in the 10% with me who owned him. Alex Johnson, equal top scorer with 90 points thanks to 4 tries. I guess could be a sneaky point of difference at that mid price. I was just having a quick look at his stats before, and basically, the two games where he's got bags of tries, 86 and 90, but other than that, it's all 30s. And some of those games were even with a try. So there's only been one game he hasn't scored a try, and that was a 20-point return. So obviously, Cody Walker back is only going to strengthen that left edge. Um, but I think AJ, it's a risk that you could be willing to take, particularly with the flex. You do have that space for the sort of high upside pick, but you're braver than me if you're going that way. Latrell with an 87 looks pretty handy. Scott Sorensen with an 83. Um, Great return for him. Dean Hawkins with a 74 is doing a bit of a job in place of Mitch Moses. Harry Grant with 73 is a good return for Harry this season. You can see he's only been averaging 43 across the year. Bradman Best returned and a 71 for him. So if you can cover round 18, I think he could be a handy pod at only 1% ownership to finish the season. Reece Walsh will attract some interest with 69 points this week. Aaron Clark continues to punch out good scores. Laban, pretty cheap option, 63. Schneider filled in well, 65 points for him. I think, those are the main ones that we need to look at. In terms of break evens, so Karapani obviously is the cheapie of the week, negative 57 break even. Broncos should play or do play around 18. He should play in that fixture. So I think if you haven't got him this week, bring him in this week. And then he may just be a useful number on your bench potentially. Marcelo Montoya is the next best break even. Against Penrith, I don't know if there's a lot of upside there, but does cover around 18 and 19. So if you're sort of desperate and he hits the right price point, you could do worse. Just having a look. So Paulo hasn't backed up. Hawkins, if you've got the extra bit of cash. Laban, Fiketti has been good, but on the buy this week. Latu Finu is an interesting one with the news that Dream Buller's out for about a month with, I think, a hamstring. I probably would envisage Heath Mason moving back to fullback, and Finu might come on and slot into the six, but we'll find out very shortly. But I guess the other cheap option, which I'll probably look at in a second, if I can find him, it's a little bit further on the list. Jed Stewart. So only played the one game, so you can have another look. But I think if you're looking for a replacement for Bostock, you can go all the way down to Stewart. I think he'll do a job and does free up some more cash. So with that said, that is the first move I'm going to make this week. Is Bostock out, and I'll just go by break even, so it's not too far down the list. So bring in Jed Stewart. As you can see, does free up a bit of cash. So let's lock that one in. So I in an ideal world wasn't going to do any trades this week. Doing the one trade would be nice, but we do have an issue with Tedesco, Nwangani Tuase, and Campbell all missing this week. And I guess it would be nice if Nwangani Tuase had a bit of flexibility, but they didn't recognise his games he played in the centres. So we are a little bit stuck. So what I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to trade Jaden Campbell, even though he's been my guy all season, and I've been a big fan of his. And I'm going to bring in Latrell, which might seem a bit weird, but being well up in the ranks, I think got to be a little bit more aggressive to hold that rank. So I'm going to bring in Latrell. So what that does for this week, Watson's out, but Couchman's back in. Nafahu White's out, but Preston is in. We can bring Cleary back in, hopefully. Kiraz can come on. And then we'll have to play Garrick, Latrell, and Stewart. We probably need to find a fourth reserve. So uh, Hubner or Karapani. Um, might just take the safer option of Hubner. Although I might have to look at Karapani's base stats. But I guess looking forward, obviously bringing in Latrell isn't ideal for round 18. But we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And so obviously if Kolomatangi misses, maybe Horsburgh comes in for Queensland if there's injuries. We've still got the numbers, so I think, we're well set enough that we can afford to carry Latrell. And then into round 19, it's going to be an issue. I know we can swing Farnworth into the wing fullback position. So we'll have a back six, probably Karapani can slot in there. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So we've got numbers for round 19 as well. But actually, on top of that, we will have a couple of others because the trades, the planned trades, so got a lot of cash at the moment, 400k in the bank. So the plan is to hold trades the next week. If we can get 13 on the field, we'll just run it. Hopefully, we don't lose too much ground. But then we can use that cash in round 19 to upgrade Hubner back to Isaiah Yeo, who we traded out. And I think we'll be able to sideways Horsburgh to Tino. And then that's pretty much like my dream forward pack. Obviously, Takura is the cheapy option there, but we'll have 9 options that we can plug in, up to 8 spots or 9 spots if we want to use all 4 bench spots. I don't think we will, but we've still got Watson, we've still got the halves, so we'll have plenty of options. And then down the track, at some point, we'll probably cash out Purdue. So there is one Nuff who's a centre and a wing fullback, Penatani from the Rabbitohs. So we can slot him in. And the hope is we can generate enough cash from these moves to get Stewart back up to Campbell would be ideal. So the back 5 would be the 4 I've got plus Campbell, I think is pretty sweet. So I'd only really be carrying, Karapani, Enough, King Togia, and Takura. So that's 22 guns. That's heaps considering we've still got 3 extra trades up the sleeve. So pretty well positioned, happy with that. So that's the plan for Dream Team, but we should be able to get team lists now. There we go. So round 17. So Cody Walker, Dylan Brown back named, Saifidi back for the Knights, Kurt Capewell also coming back from a week off. So Panthers Bulldogs, this should be a cracking game to start the round on Thursday night. But for the Panthers, all the Origin boys back. So Edwards, Toto, Cleary, Martin, Yeo. So pretty full strength looking side. Just having a quick look through there. So obviously those guys are all back. For the Bulldogs, Burton back, Max King back in. So interestingly, Josh Curran on the bench, Galvin on the bench as well, with Sexton still in the 7. So again, interesting to see how they use him. I guess between King, Curran can obviously play big minutes, and Hayes will probably hold a lot of the middle down. So Luca Fafita might not play big minutes. Mann and Haywood will share the 13, and then it's just however they want to use Galvin. So some good stuff there. Like I said, should be a great game. Sea Eagles, Tigers. So Sea Eagles. So it's been talked about for a bit, but Tom Trebojevic in the centres. Lehigh Hopewadi to fullback. So be interesting to have a look, see how that goes. I think it'll be a bit too late for Turbo to get centre wing in Supercoach or centre in NRL Fantasy. Um, Given the timelines, I think it's the end of round 18. So he'll probably only get 2 games named there, which is unfortunate, but we'll see how it goes. Jazz Tavanga named in the 9, back from a concussion as well. Um, Jake Simpkin on the bench. So what happened to Lockie Croker? Doesn't say, it just says Lockie Croker out. Okay, that's fine. I'll have Tavanga in fantasy, so I'm happy with that. And for the Tigers, as predicted, Heath Mason at fullback, Latu Fino in the 7, so Luai in the 6. So it'll be interesting to see if Fino becomes the main sort of ball player, or if Luai still takes charge a lot of the time. Backline, the rest of that looks all right. Jack Bird named on the edge, so no Alex Seyfarth on the bench. So interesting call there. And there was a bit of hype about Taylor May maybe getting a nod, but he might be coming back through New South Wales Cup. Knights Raiders. So for the Knights, Jackson Hastings comes in for Fletcher Sharp. Greg Marzu on the extended bench, so one to just keep an eye out there for with Schiller named on the wing. Forward pack looks the same as what it has been, other than Saifidi back in. So Lessa Laumoana was on the bench last week, so he drops off. I think Matt Croker was in the starting team, so he's dropped back to the interchange. And for the Raiders, not expecting any wholesale changes here. Sasungi named on the edge in place of Hudson Young. Did he get a week off? Oh, just being rested. Okay, so for Hudson Young owners, interesting decision because he's not playing this week. He'll play Origin next week. Round 19, the Raiders are on the bye, so doesn't play for the next 3 weeks. So it might be a potential sell of Hudson Young if you own him. That's very interesting that they've done that. But I guess, keeping him fresh for the back end of the season. Broncos, Warriors. So for the Bronx, backline, same as usual. Forward pack, I think that's what they've been running with. So I don't think there's any real changes there for the Broncos. And for the Warriors, so Capewell back in the second row. Laban holds his starting spot, which is interesting. So Halasima back to the bench. So Laban maybe becomes an option, but potentially a bit too much potential for switch arounds and stuff. So may not be worth the trouble. Rocco Berry back as well, I think, is another in, as far as I can track. Dragons, Eels. So for the Dragons, Corey Allen named on the wing, so Nathan Lawson dropped. So I guess for those that have him as a cheapie, you may need to look elsewhere if you're looking to generate some last minute cash. Tui Pelotu named back on the wing is nice. Hopefully the hamstring injury is sorted. And then the forward pack. So Couchman's still on the edge. Maybe a luxury you sell if you've got the trades. Hamish Stewart on the bench, so yeah, he's getting cut from my Supercoach team. Viliami Fafita, enough legend of the past, named on the bench. So no Pasifiki Tonga. That's very interesting. So might become a bit of a dead rookie if you've got him, but I think most of us probably have enough numbers to cover him anyway. Yeah, so Tui Pelotu back, which is nice. For the Eels, so Sam Rani named in the centres to cover Penasini, who's having a bit of a break. Joey Lussick named to cover Riley Smith. And Joash Papali'i moved to the bench with Dylan Brown back. So Um, yeah, nothing too crazy relevant there. Obviously, Lomax is a keeper if you like him for Supercoach. Iongi, if you've got him, probably a hold because he's going all right at the moment. Hawkins as a potential mid-price cash option. Yeah, that's about it. Dolphins Rabbitohs on Saturday night. So for the Dolphins, Junior Tupou named on the wing to replace Bostock. So not sure what his price is, but obviously the job security is there. Um, the backs look the same. So I did see an update. It's not on the NRL site currently, I don't think, but Max Plath done for the year. So Kurt Donahue, I think, is a really good pod in the 13. I may have to trade him next week in fantasy, and I'm really trying to find a way of not having to do that. So we'll see. It might be a very regretful sell there. For the Rabbitohs, so Cody Walker back in the 6. So pretty close to their full strength backline now, if it isn't already. So Pete Mamazelis named on the bench as well, so they'll ease him back into first grade, which is nice. Jai Arrow moved to 13, and Hubner moved to the bench. So that's interesting. I guess with Aiken moving back into the second row, Duncan probably having earned his spot there. So they've brought Sean Kepi into the starting team. So Kepi really replacing Hubner, which is interesting. So I think I have to hold Hubner, but definitely have plans to move him on sooner rather than later if you've got him. Storm Sharks on Sunday. So for the Storm, Anderson moves into the centres, replacing Jack Howarth. Xavier Coates back on the wing. Forward packs, business as usual. So, not sure what happened with Jack Howarth. Just says he's out. Must have copped some sort of injury. And for the Sharks, so Talakai in the centres again. So I think that's the same team as last week. Very rare that they change it up at the Sharks. Yeah, nothing too crazy there. Titans Cowboys. Is this the last game? Yep, last game of the round. So Brimson moves back to full. Oh no, was still at fullback. Sorry, I was thinking he was going to move into the halves, but they've got Tommy Weaver in the halves, covering for Jaden Campbell. Um, Other than that, Tino back in the 13. Cleese Haas moves back to the bench. Fodawaker's still coming off the bench, which is interesting, but don't hate that move. And the Cowboys, let's see, Purdue back to the centres. So the experiment with him at 6 hasn't really worked out. Maybe increases his Supercoach scoring with a bit more room potentially. Clifford and Dearden in the halves. So I think Ford packs back to the full strength if it wasn't already. Yeah, good stuff there. Oh yeah, Carl Lawton out. So I think he was playing hooker, wasn't he? So Reece Robson just slots back in. Harrison Edwards will play that relieving role if need be. Maybe Thomas McKayle's come in on the bench, but don't think there's anything too fantasy Supercoach relevant there. So yeah, that's the team list. Nothing too crazy. Maybe the couple of opportunities there in the Tigers back line if you're looking for a couple of point of difference cheapies. Obviously Tommy Turbo in the centres is a big change. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I don't think there's anything too crazy that makes us rethink any of our moves. So it's business as usual. So we'll wrap it up there. As always, if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below this video. Give us a like if you enjoy the the team list content. Got the formats confused. Subscribe for all of the fantasy sports content on the channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.